The age rewind comedy 17 Again was one of the first movies to prove that Zac Efron's career would continue to thrive outside of the High School Musical franchise, while also confirming that Matthew Perry's career was pretty much dead forever after playing Chandler on Friends. Oh, I'm sorry, he also did like 2 Bruce Willis movies that someone's dad might watch on HBO, but dads will sit through basically any boring sausage fest that makes them feel masculine. That's why the NFL was created. Speaking of team sports, Zac Efron is essentially doing everything he can in this movie to remind you of his iconic Disney character Troy Bolton, such as singing and dancing in basketball shorts while giving meaningful looks to a girl in a classroom. But don't worry, 17 Again also mixes it up with some original plot points that were copied from other movies, such as 13 Going on 30, Big, It's a Wonderful Life, or any movie where someone unknowingly hits on a younger version of their mom or dad. And no, I don't like that there are multiple examples of that. But also, I don't like this movie either, so it seems fitting for this Benjamin Button backwards body clock installment of Clip Breakdown. Hello television viewers, my name is Nick. Thank you so much for joining me once again on my channel for another installment of Clip Breakdown. This is the playlist where we dive into our favorite movies, TV movies, and other such content here on the web, and we break it into little clips like you would break up a basketball game into quarters. I hate sports. So that we can look at each clip and make fun of it. Mama, this movie sucks. There's not an original bone in its body, and it beat me to death with a hammer while calling me gay slurs. That's how I feel. That was too much. Before you get into it, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see even more Zac Efron breakdown. But most importantly, if you're new to my channel, I would love to have you click that subscribe button right over here. That way you never miss new videos from me. I upload 2 new ones every week, so turn on notifications, and you'll always be the first to know when Zac Efron's scoring a hoop shot, throwing the basketball into the hoop. The movie basically starts with our main character, Mike, who is played by Zac Efron, all the way back in 1989. He's on the basketball team, he's like the star player, his best friend is this little nerdy kid. All of these movies have to start with like an extended flashback sequence in the first act. Like, I don't need to see him getting his school picture taken. What the f? Who cares? The real kind of setup happens at the big game that happens immediately after, aka where the movie should have started. We get a feel for, you know, Zac's character is the popular golden boy, aka Troy Bolton, but in the 80s. Also, not super convincing with the 80s production design here. It's at times hard to tell that they're even trying to make it look like the past. I'm sorry, but what kind of Pinocchio-ky, artichoke-ky marionette dance moves are we doing now? The director said, Zac, we really need to remind people of the High School Musical choreography right now, so get out into that gym and do-si-do for us. Jump around like Rerun from What's Happening. Look, one of Mike's fans in the crowd made a sign with an acrostic of his name. It says that he's magic, intensity, killer, excellent. So I'm guessing this school doesn't lead the state when it comes to creative writing competitions. Aside from the subject-tense disagreement of all of those adjectives, I'm also kind of concerned that killer made the list for this girl's poster. Sarah, do you know something about that freshman who disappeared after homecoming last fall? A courtside murder accusation? Wow, so far this movie is super intensity. I don't like how they added a dark vignette to the corners of the screen every time it's an 80s flashback. It's like, did they not have gym lights back then? Are they lighting the gym by candlelight? Just a kind of cheap post-production way of trying to give the flashback a distinctly different feel. But if you look at like 13 Going on 30, you would never need that because the 80s scenes were so 80s with the hairs and costumes and makeup. The color palettes were also different, which they obviously didn't do here since one girl in the crowd is wearing a Paramore t-shirt. I think they just let people come as they were. They were like, try and be 80s, but like, whatever. Zac's hair in the 80s version is also like, I don't think it's a wig or extensions, but it does always look wet, so it's hard to tell. Anyway, Zac's about to start playing, and same as with High School Musical, he's got a big college scout in the crowd, so there's a lot of pressure on this game. But then his best girl, Scarlett, comes in, and she seems like she has something on her mind.
This whole scout thing, I feel like my whole future is riding on this game.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
She said, you think that's high pressure? I have the entire continent of Africa under my wig right now. Again, I can't say that I find the hair and makeup super period accurate here. And in the case of Zac Efron's one-dimensional dye job, sometimes it's not even accurate to what's found in nature. Even a box of Nice and Easy has built-in highlights and lowlights, but they got our main character only looking like live action from the scalp down. Then up top, it's fully Jimmy Neutron coloring book, but okay. Like, did they really have to dye his eyebrows midnight blue in order order to sell this look. It's freaking me out. For whatever reason, it seems like a lot of Zac Efron's fame at this time was based solely on his signature silky hair. And I obviously try to maintain movie star hair myself, which is why I'm so grateful for the sponsor of today's video, Function of Beauty. If you don't already know, Function of Beauty allows you to create custom hair care products that are specifically suited to your hair goals and preferences. In the past, my hair has gone from being really dry at the ends to really oily at the scalp, which is a little bewildering, but luckily that's not an issue. When I ordered my Function of Beauty shampoo and conditioner duo, I created formulas with goals like oil control, strength, shine, and replenishment. I also got to choose these fun summer colors, an orange and yellow shade, and my own fragrance called Takes Two to Mango, and I chose a strong fragrance level because I love the sensual experience, mama. I feel so good every time I use these. In the shower, they sit there with my name printed on the bottle, iconic, and it feels great in my hair both while I'm using it and afterwards. And after one use, I saw an improvement not only in the shine of my hair, but also in its manageability. Plus, people have complimented that my hair smells good when I get out of the shower, and I'm like, yeah. I don't know why there are so many people when I'm out of the shower. It's a party. Function of Beauty is very easy to trust with my hair because they use only clean, science-backed ingredients, and the easy-to-use hair care quiz was created by eco-certified MIT scientists. Do you think I went to MIT? They wouldn't even let me buy the t-shirt from their school bookstore. I loved the whole process of creating my custom formulas all the way to using them daily. Now it's easier than ever to try Function of Beauty's top-rated hair care duo. You can get 20% off your first 16-ounce custom set when you click my link. I'd also recommend becoming a member to get exclusive perks like free shipping and early access to new products. Zac Efron wishes he had this hair, so let's get back to the video. Finally, Scarlett tells Mike what's wrong. We don't hear her say it, but she's obviously pregnant because his world shifts and she touches her stomach, and he's about to start playing the game, and she's overcome with the reality of the situation, and she runs out of the gym. And despite this being his big chance to impress the scouts, Mike throws the ball back and runs off the court to go after the love of his life, where he's like, I love you no matter how many babies I pumped into you. Ooh, hold on tight. Your boyfriend seems to be creating a centrifuge in the womb to help speed up this unplanned pregnancy. Just let him build up to full speed for about 30 minutes twice a day, and you should start having contractions in a week. Plus, the baby comes out super flat and scrunched up, making them very easy to store under the couch or in a briefcase. So then, that's all the 80s we need for the whole rest of our lives, I guess, because Zac Efron made the choice to have the child with the love of his life, and then bam, we time jump into the future where a lot seems to have happened over the years, but I guess that's not part of the movie.
You're looking at Scarlett kicking you out of the house and the kids wanting nothing to do with you as a negative. When in fact, I guess it's mostly negative, isn't it? Hey, you're getting that big promotion today, right?
Let me guess, he's leaving the department of describing off-screen plot points to join the clumsy expositional dialogue task force. I feel like it was abrupt to start by seeing teenage Mike and Scarlett embracing the bliss of their unplanned pregnancy, only then to immediately jump ahead to adult Mike's broken marriage and entire family hating him. Seems like you might have glossed over the lifelong drinking problem that connected those two events, but to me, that's a missed opportunity. I don't know why we couldn't have lost the picture-taking team photo and shifted things around so that we get a little bit of a last straw scene here with present-day Mike and his wife and family. Like, did he miss an important event of his daughter's because he's working too hard? Is he late picking up the kids from school and that's why they hate him? We've seen this done a billion times, the disappointing father thing, and I don't see enough of why it seems like Mike is bad to his family. Is he focusing too much on work? Does he what is the deal? We've seen it done better a million times. Jingle All the Way, San Andreas, 2012, Mrs. Doubtfire. So many cinematic bad dads to choose from. So anyway, Mike ends up not getting that promotion, which is supposed to be their way of showing us how in shambles his life is, even though very forgettable scene. He gets fired from his job. He goes to his daughter's school, and he's like looking at that class picture we got taken. That's why it was super crucial to show, and kind of reminiscing about his high school days. That's when some old janitor with a cartoon voice comes up and he's like, I bet you wish you'd like to go back in time to those days, wouldn't you? And he's like, oh boy, would I. And then the guy disappears. So it's like, okay, hi. Anyway, Mike is trying to make nice with his kids. That's why he takes them out to ice cream. His daughter Maggie is played by Michelle Trachtenberg, and she wants nothing to do with him. And his son, played by Sterling Knight, he's disappointing in some way.
Passing?
Good.
Dribbling?
Really good. Well, good's not gonna get you a scholarship.
It's great, Dad. It's great.
That's my boy. Remember, it's not how big you are.
Because you can always gel your hair straight up to appear even bigger and prevent mountain lion attacks. Matthew Perry was 38 when he made this movie, but I think they had to give him a really young looking hairstyle to help balance out the fact that he showed up on set with the tired eyes of a 72-year-old Vietnam vet. Just hang on a little longer, Matthew. In a couple years, injectable cosmetics will become FDA approved and we can all start aging gracefully. Like elegant leather bags swollen with liquid. Meanwhile, Mike's son, who we have seen in other movies on this channel, like Starstruck, has a full-on Mia Farrow pixie haircut in this movie. Like, why does he look like a Starbucks cake pop to me? When he's dropping the kids off, Mike runs into his wife, Scarlett, soon-to-be ex-wife. She's renovating the backyard to start her dream business of outdoor renovations. Plot point I forgot about until just now. Mike doesn't seem super supportive of this. He's like, whatever, you dummy. He's also saddened to hear that it seems like within a couple weeks of this divorce, Scarlett's friend is already trying to get her back on the market, dating again. It's like, I don't think there's a problem with that, but maybe you don't have to talk about it directly in front of the man she hasn't divorced yet. Like, come on.
We gotta get you back on the market.
Yeah, I'm a real catch. Single mom, 2 teenage kids, and manure caked under my fingernails.
Ugh, yes, and let's not even mention the fact that you're also a conventionally attractive, college-educated white woman with a thin body and perfect hair. She's like, ugh, I wish I had an easier life, like one of those underserved migrant workers who live at the women's shelter. Girl, go hug your kids. You do get from this scene that Mike is a little bit of a piece of work, and the wife has no plans of getting back together with him. No desire to reconcile things. They allude to the bad relationship stuff that's happened, like him not being around, him being cranky. I need to see it. I need to see it. Otherwise, all of his behavior just seems like he's sad because of the divorce, not he's sad and that's what caused the divorce. But he's very on the nose, being like, my life took a turn as soon as I stopped playing basketball. It's like, let go of high school. Let go of high school. Do you even love your kids? On his way home, it's raining, and on this bridge, Mike sees the janitor standing on the edge of the bridge, like as though he's about to take his own life. And it's creepy how he looks back and smiles right at Mike. I'd be like, okay, you can jump. I'm not getting out of my car if you looked at me like that. But Mike is a hero, and this movie is copying It's a Wonderful Life, as we said. So, magic happens. This unexplained whirlpool magic happens that comes from nowhere, goes nowhere, and is never anywhere. That's exactly why I was afraid to use airplane bathrooms as a kid. I thought a young Zac Efron would appear inside of it like Mufasa and then suck Chandler from Friends in like a black hole. This was back when the only treatment for childhood anxiety was crying quietly at night so nobody could hear you. To me, there is such a disconnect between the mysterious magical janitor and this random whirlpool wormhole that he created. That's just Clarence from It's a Wonderful Life, but without any of the character development. Like, they have Jim Gaffigan playing the coach both in the 80s and today. So why couldn't they have had this janitor show up in the 80s and show some mystical helping or give some wisdom to one of the students? Like, something to indicate that he's this like magic janitor. He basically never comes back to like close the loop and teach this guy a lesson. Maybe he does, but not long enough. He's not integrated into the story well enough. And like, what? So obviously the next morning, Mike looks in the mirror and is shocked to see his younger self. Now, this is very reminiscent of all of those body swap comedies that you've ever seen. Oh, by the way, that roommate with the like the nerdy kid from the 80s, that's the roommate. You get that. The roommate, what is his name? I hate these names. The roommate, Ned, sees young Mike and immediately starts attacking him, thinking this is like a home invasion. Who in the Kill Bill Volume 2 thought that this movie needed a 4-minute sword fight sequence in the middle of the first act? Do I look like a toddler in their pirate-obsessed phase? No, I look like a teen girl who loves High School Musical, just like most of this movie's audience. So who is this scene for? Who is this movie even for? Also, it has to be said, the worst scene in any movie is the sword fighting scene, as a rule. Think about it, they're remarkably common and they're always too long and boring. The Princess Bride, The Parent Trap, The Adam Addams Family, Values, Richie Rich, almost anything with Orlando Bloom in it. We gotta stop. It's just like so weird to me that this movie is clearly targeting teen girls, but then it only shows teen girls acting jealous, boy crazy, and vapid, which is crazy because that's the same diagnosis my therapist gave me. I said vapid, like when a liquid turns into a gas. I always knew I was powerful. Ned is about to, like, I guess, blunt force trauma kill Mike with a random picture of the two of them in high school, and that's when he realizes, wait, you look like someone I knew 10 years ago. You know, like, I'm so confused. The wife, the ex-wife who knew him in high school instantly is like, that kid looks like a young version of Mike. But Ned here, who is like a rich, famous, smart person somehow, he's like sword fighting this guy for minutes and minutes, and he's not once like, wait, you're saying that you're young Mike and you look exactly like my lifelong best friend. Like, do you not recognize faces? I mean, I get it. Matthew Perry and Zac Efron do not even have a similar look, but the movie is trying to act like they do. So after realizing the truth, Ned is trying to help Mike figure out what has happened here by reading all of his science fiction research, and they're like, oh, so it's basically a standard, you have to set the course right thing. And it's like, yeah, so standard that we've seen this movie before. Stop doing it. And janitor said something about following a path. So it basically gives Mike the idea that in order to go back to his regular body, he needs to redo his mistake from high school and stay a basketball star, which to me is like just a completely assumed kind of conflict and resolution that they're going after. It ends up being a MacGuffin, but I'm like, like in the Parent Trap remake, at least Lindsay and Jamie Lee Curtis had to go back to the Chinese restaurant and like do detective work to figure out what the actual truth was. Here they're just like, let's guess based on other popular culture things that we're copying. Cheap, lame, stupid, bye. He goes back to the school though, and they're like, there's no janitor here. It's just one woman who's like, I'm the only janitor for this whole school, which is bullshit. But he follows the janitor's creepy CGI water trail to the gym, and he gets like, oh, I'm supposed to join the team. So they pretend that Ned is Mike's father, and they enroll him in the school as a new student under the name Mark. Ned is like smitten with the principal of the school, Principal Masterson. She's played by Melora Hardin, who we love from every movie, but she also played Jan in The Office, but I liked her best in the Hannah Montana movie. I love the leading women in this movie. Leslie Mann is also an underrated icon. I'm like, get rid of these assholes and just make a movie with them. So at first, Zac Efron is really overwhelmed by the wild and crazy crowded hallways of school, and I'm just like, that doesn't make sense that you would be so scared of this school, because you already lived through being a teenager. Going back to a high school, you would be like more confident than ever, being like, fuck all of you. Like, as an adult who's had a career, you'd have experienced more stressful days with higher stakes than this. So I don't see why he's like, maybe if they could show us more ways that high school is different. Like in the past, in the 80s, everyone was like playing their little video game thing, you know, that football game. And then in the future, everyone's like on their cell phones. Like, I don't know, something. Zach's at school, Mike's at school, Mark's at school, and he gets a call from Leslie Mann, his wife, Scarlett. Oh my God. I will burn every name. She's like, where are you? We're at the finalization of the divorce. And he's like, oh, I have to put this off.
Are you with the girl?
No, it's a bunch of cheerleaders.
So, would you consider maybe dating a 10th grader?
No, but I would consider maybe hitting one with my car, but only if I hypothetically had to make a split decision between hitting the 10th grader and like a 9th grader who was standing right next to them. Eventually, I'll take it to the next level and just stop speeding through school zones. But in the meantime, look both ways before crossing the street. I'm trying to get to Target. Also, did anyone else instantly recognize that actress as Janie from Harriet the Spy, Harriet's best friend? And she's sharing a scene with Harriet herself, who comes into the classroom. It's not the reboot, reunion, or sequel we asked for, but this minor connection did make me feel nostalgic for the 90s. I have so many good memories, all the way up through 1999. And then something big and bad seems to have happened, so I repressed a few years, and suddenly here I am today as the fabulous adult you see before you, who has no baggage and whose relationships always work out. P.S. Oh, why does Scarlett not even question why her soon-to-be ex-husband suddenly suddenly has the voice of a barely legal circuit party twink? And why is he around a group of cheerleaders? Like, what? And I still don't know, in what world does Zac Efron grow up to look like a very tired Matthew Perry? I guess maybe in that Twilight Zone episode where they try to surgically give that woman a pig face? How is that a mean thing to say? The whole message of that episode was that it doesn't matter how bad Matthew Perry looks, it's only skin deep. Mike, now Mark, instantly goes about trying to reconnect with his estranged daughter, and it's clear, oh yeah, he also did this little makeover to like get a haircut and look a little more modern, which is just basically standard Zac Efron mop top. The other girls love it though.
Why is the new kid waving at me?
I don't know. But if that boy were an apple, he'd be a delicious.
Girl, you need to go to hell for saying that. Quick, get in front of my car and bring a 9th grader. I'm just kidding, but for real, where did you get that connection from? You saw someone attractive and then instantly compared them to your favorite type of apple. Was this dialogue written by a stable full of horses? She said, I'm gonna mount him like I'm a mare that wants to bite the skin on his neck till it bleeds. What? Ugh. Zac Efron obviously nails the tryout. It's supposed to be funny that Jim Gaffigan is, you're still the teacher here? And it's like, he looks the same age, so whatever. Oh, maybe they took off his wig? I don't know. The movie sucks. See, there are little details like that, but nothing feels fully realized to me. All of these characters and plot points all play such specific, methodical, formulaic roles in the story that I just, like, they just pass by without being memorable. That's how you can tell this movie was a cash grab. Ned, this whole subplot that I'm glossing over, Ned has like a crush on Principal Masterson, so he's like, Mike, do me a favor and get in trouble a little bit so that I get called into the principal's office and I can hit on your teacher. And Mike's like, no way. But then he's in the bathroom and realizes his son, whose name is Alex, is not as popular in school as he made it sound to his dad at the ice cream place. He's taped to the toilet. So Mike decides to like take him under his wing and teach him how to be cool a little bit. And that's when he finds out that one of Alex's bullies is this mean kid named Stan, played by Hunter Parrish, who also happens to be the daughter Maggie's boyfriend. You'd have to be a real mean person to let your boyfriend physically abuse your little brother and just be like, that's hot, Stan, keep pushing his head in the toilet. Like, he's gonna die. But whatever, Michelle Trachtenberg's character in this movie is not a realistic human, just a lady. Hunter Parrish's bleached blonde hair in this is taking me to a new planet, Planet Her, Planet Peroxide. This is like the battle of weird hair colors when Mike starts telling off Stan by being a clever, smarmy adult. And I'm just like, this is the best we could do with this? Okay.
Underneath all of that male bravado, there's an insecure little girl just banging on the closet door trying to get out.
Ah, the school is being attacked by gremlins. Oh no, that's just some dweeby little freshman that they couldn't get to sit still for this shot. Can you move out of the way, stupid Sean with an SH? The filmmakers are trying to get a big laugh out of this thinly veiled homophobia. Mike said, not only am I implying that you're a closeted gay, but I'm also suggesting that all closeted gay people are just scared little girls who are too afraid to admit the truth, because people like me will openly make fun of and hate crime them. Zach, you better have an outfit picked out for the GLAAD Awards because you've been selected to be tarred and feathered during the opening ceremony, while Nathan Lane and Billy Porter sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow in harmony. Wow, look at Mike's systematic takedown, verbally dismantling the f***ing bully.
And the third reason, Stan has a small wiener.
Okay, there is no way that in this dimension or on any other pig-faced alternative planet that any kids would think this guy just owned the bully if his closing line ended with the word wiener. You're supposed to be 17, not 7. They probably could have gone for more subtle innuendo and had it be funnier. He could have been like, you know, Stan, psychologists believe that bullies like you love to run their big mouths to make up for the fact that they are not so big in other areas. No, see, we're still spending too much time describing the teenager's genitals. Tell you what, let's just cut this scene, cancel this production, and burn down the movie studio. Even with better writing, I cannot get behind Hollywood's obsession with body shaming people for their penis size. If it's sexist to assign value to someone based on their breast size, then it's also sexist to do it to someone's genitals, obviously. That should be obvious. And frankly, if everybody's was the size of a greased up Bunker Hill monument, I would need to bring a hard hat and a Gatorade with me to the gay bar. Plus, look at the hard edges on that structure. There would be absolutely no hope of my fissures turning into scar tissue by my 40th birthday. So now Maggie is like, wow, that guy told off my boyfriend, and the whole school likes him now. So Mark goes back to his kid's house to hang out with his son.
What's going on?
Oh, hey, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
This is actually the most believable and likable character I've ever seen Sterling Knight play. I think because it was before he got discovered by the Disney Channel and they typecast him as a smarmy asshole. Although that might have been an uphill battle that started when his parents named him Sterling Knight. Like, okay, Spamalot, what is your noble quest? To tell girls that they look beautiful even without makeup? No one f***ing asked you. Go back to the round table. Oh, and then here comes Scarlett with her friend who wants to get her laid. Scarlett instantly is like, you look exactly like my husband when he's younger. Oh, right. And the story that Mike is telling all of the kids is that he's the son of his dad's uncle. He's basically pretending to be his own long-lost nephew named Mike. And Leslie Mann's character is like, wow, you look so much like my ex-husband, even though you're his brother's son. And it's okay that I've never heard of you or met you or anything. That's normal to have mystery people. Mike sort of comes off as like protective and responsible in this conversation. Although as a kid who's at my son's house, I would be like, you can f***ing leave.
I was kind of distracted, as I imagine Alex was, at hearing about how his mother is planning on running around with every guy she can get her hands on. If this were Afghanistan, she'd be dragged through the streets by goats with her hands cut off. I'm just saying.
Okay, I'm gonna start by saying, whoa, we're so lucky that Alex has this new role model. Sweetie, why don't you come over here as well and say something Islamophobic about your mother getting f***ed at a dive bar? IMDb said that Zac Efron spent time with Matthew Perry to try and like learn and mimic some of his characteristics. And I'm just like, yeah, I totally see it. Golden Globe. But I will say this is one line delivery that does feel like it could have actually been said by Chandler on Friends, as it warmly endorses a problematic human rights violation. In sex ed, Mike is trying to influence his daughter and all of these kids' behavior by being like, I'm not having sex until I meet the right one, and neither should you, girl. It's like, okay, this is weird. This is weird. Did your parents go back in time and join your school to get involved in your sex life, sir? No. So maybe extend the same respect to your daughter. But in the process, he like embarrasses Stan and they get into an actual fist fight that goes viral in like a 0.5 megapixel cell phone, flip phone video type of feel, which is perfect because that's how Ned gets called into the office, gets to hit on the principal again. So that stupid storyline is still going. Also, Mike goes back to his former house and actually helps Scarlett finish her yard renovations. And he's actually impressed by how talented she is. And it's like, did you not even like your wife before this? Didn't even know if she was good at this? Whatever. He's also bonding with the son and interfering with the girl's relationship and trying out for the stupid basketball team practicing. And you know, it's like a big success when both the son and Mike get on the team because he's bonding with his son, and Mike at this point still thinks that joining the team is the only way to get on the right path and get back to his normal body. But it seems like other more important things are also happening. Like he bonds with his soon-to-be ex-wife as a child by standing under the lights and being like, you're so good at this. He calls her Scar and she's like, that's what my husband used to call me. And also you look just like him and have the same smell. He dances with her, so like that's weird. And in an attempt to continue making his son popular, they go to a teen party. At this party for some girl's birthday, Zac tries to convince his son to have the confidence to talk to the girl he has a crush on. Meanwhile, Mike himself is the life of the party. All the girls want him.
It's my birthday.
I didn't get you a present. I'm sorry.
I'll just have to unwrap you.
I was kicked off the cheerleading squad for being too flexible.
And also because they checked my dental records and discovered that I'm 23, which is a technicality. The casting department said it would be harmful to have real underage girls say things like this, so let's just have them be portrayed by sexually developed young women. That way the predators watching at home will feel justified when hunting for minors online. Like, what the f is up with the overt libido of every teen girl in this movie? Did they start selling horny goat weed supplements at the mall kiosk with those knockoff Livestrong bracelets? I'm still confused because the theatrical audience for this movie was reportedly 70% young girls. And yet the characters, storyline, and direction all seem specifically centered around a male perspective. Sure, 15-year-olds might be fawning over Zac Efron, but to which characters are they supposed to relate most as like an access point to this movie? The perpetually sex-crazed classmates, the daughter with poor judgment, or the shrew ex-wife who's fighting for sole custody? I'm sorry, was the witch from Hands Hansel and Gretel not available to make a cameo as the moral compass for this movie. I'm worried that this script encouraged a lot of young girls to say, I only have guy friends because girls are just too much drama. Well, congratulations, young Stephanie, because you've just been radicalized against your own interests by the patriarchy. Please, young Stephanie, I'm begging you, attend a liberal college because that's the only cure. Also, don't get bogged down to some hometown husband in cargo shorts who is also a little mean to you when the TV is on. You're throwing your life away, young Stephanie. Meanwhile, across the way, young Alex is I'm calling people young a lot. I feel old. Alex is flirting with this girl.
I'm just really nervous, and I've wanted to talk to you for so long.
You're on fire.
What?
Literally on fire.
I'm always fascinated by how movies can get away with passing off the weirdest art direction and blocking as completely normal. They said, oh, you know how people always decorate their bowling alley birthday parties with huge open flames and then casually put their feet up on coffee tables while talking? It's because movies, especially narrative movies, are focused only on showing you a tiny little frame of action at a time. So filmmakers can often sacrifice realistic behaviors for the sake of story or for just cinematography. Anyway, at the party, Mike totally comes on too overprotective and strong to his daughter, who's like, you're not my father. And it's like, yeah, good. No one should tell women what to do. Shut the fuck up. Some other little triumphs happen, like Alex scores the winning shot at a game thanks to an alley-oop. An alley-oop? Is that an alley-oop from Mike? He says, you do it. Stupid principal is stupid flirting with stupid Ned. Oh, and then Mike comes across his daughter Maggie crying in an amphitheater because Stan broke up with her when she refused to sleep with him because she wasn't ready. And Mike is like, he says all the right things to be like, you're gonna find a guy one day who loves you for who you are, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you're right, I feel better and I wanna suck your dick, which is horrifying because that's a parent, mama. That's your brother's dad. And yours, and your dad too. So that's gross, that's weird. Ooh, when Ned and Jane, Principal Masterson, are at dinner that she agrees to go out with him on, they realize they both have a strong affinity for Dungeons and Dragons and other nerd culture stuff. So they bond over that. Stan then punches Mike in the face at a party and he gets knocked out. And when he wakes up, he's being cared for by Maggie, his daughter, who is a little confused from the conversation they had earlier and a little turned on by the rejection.
You want to play games? I can play games.
No.
I'm hungry lioness, and you're a baby gazelle.
Okay, Disney's Animal Kingdom. Let's leave this problematic in-family attraction storyline back in the 80s where it belongs, right next to secondhand smoke and the rotting corpse of Ronald Reagan. This is just Back to the Future, but made when it's actually the future, when we supposedly know better. Do we really need to keep implying that most girls would want to their father if they had met them in high school? If it was upsetting just to hear me say that, then tell me why it's playing out on the screen in front of me right now in 2007. This was a commercially successful kids movie? I would ask how this continues to happen, but the answer is pretty clear. Hollywood is a registered sex offender. And the awful generic storyline of this movie is not helped by the terrible editing and storyboarding.
Functional this is! Stop it. Okay, please stop it. Maggie, I'm not the person that you think I am.
Maggie, I'm gonna have to ask you to stop trying to take your dad's belt off and explain the shitty way this scene was put together. Those jump cuts are almost as jarring as the content itself. They really needed at least one other shot, like a reverse of Zac Efron reacting to all of this. That way they could edit these takes together more seamlessly. I think the crew was like, listen, we're not gonna waste any more time getting a second angle on this scene since we're pretty sure the FBI is gonna make us remove it anyway. I would say go one step further and destroy the negatives. Poor Michelle Trachtenberg. I miss her in Ice Princess. That movie at least passed the Bechdel test. So Zac Efron is like, baby, girl, sweetie, I do not want to have sex with you. Stop doing this. And she's like, oh, I think I get it.
I get it. Now, do you have highlights? Dude, your jeans are really tight.
I'm not gay.
Okay, well, calm down, defensive. At the very least, you dye your hair frequently, and we sort of just count that by default sometimes. You're inadvertently participating in the art of drag while also lying to the public about your age, which in our community is like baseball and basketball. And putting things up your is our football. Practice starts at 6. So anyway, Leslie Mann shows up at the party looking for her kids, I guess, and her and Mike have a heartfelt conversation where he seems to forget himself and goes to kiss her, which obviously disturbs her, and the whole school seems to have seen it, and they're like, you're weird for kissing a mom. He's like cast out from the family, like, you need to stay away, you're a weird man-child. And so he's depressed back at home, talking to Ned, being like, maybe my path was not to win the game, but to reconnect with my kids. They might not need me anymore, but I need them. And so I'm just like, maybe that's the path. We don't know, and we never get any confirmation. You're just guessing wildly right now. So anyway, Ned and Mike show up in the nick of time at the divorce proceedings where the mom is just about to get full custody, but Mike is like, wait, I have a letter from Mark, and he starts reading like a really heartfelt thing about the day they met being the best day of his life, blah, blah, blah. And so it convinces Scarlett to be like, can we delay this for 30 more days? And she reads the letter he was reading, and it's just like directions to the courthouse. So she's like, that all came from his weird 16-year-old mind? But she's starting to be like, something's interesting here. You can tell she's catching on to the mystical nature. This part felt like Liar Liar to me. I'm like, divorce court, fun. Are you ready for some football? And by that I mean a climactic basketball playoff that my brain just instantly shuts off for. The squeaking shoes and the bouncing rubber can f off. Jane Masterson finally gives in to the advances of Ned, who again, she doesn't want to date, or she's reluctant to date because she thinks he's the father of Mike, a student.
I've told you before that I am the principal, and I cannot be seen with my students' parents.
Well, then you'll be relieved to find out that this man is not the parent of a student, but rather the friend of an adult trapped inside a teenager's body who faked their identity as a student to get closer to actual teenagers. Ned, how far into the relationship are you planning to wait before explaining that to her? It kind of feels like the sooner the better, but actually maybe you can just forget about it. Jane just seems happy to have another dragon in her dungeon.
You can plunder my dungeon anytime.
When Nicki Minaj said, I'm starting to feel like a dungeon dragon, she was talking about Principal Masterson's because it's dark, damp, and inhospitable, baby. Come get you some pneumonia. So it's the climactic basketball scene, literally down to the same words that the coach is saying. He's like, good luck out there. There's a new basketball scout watching you. It's like, what do these college scouts know about this kid who has only existed for a week? Are they like looking at a fake transcript that they somehow had time to invent? Like, the identity theft has a lot of holes in it here. But as he's about to make the big free throw shot, just like in the 80s, he sees Scarlett, who is looking at the pictures and it's all coming together. She sees the high school yearbook. She realizes, oh my God, that's my husband as a young person. And she's like so overwhelmed of the basketball court. I guess like she just leaves a lot of the room. And once again, he's left between making the decision to follow the basketball path or chase the love of his life out of the courtroom and get her back. I mean, that can definitely wait. She's not going to jump off a bridge as far as we know. Shoot the basketball, then go talk to her. But that's not cinematic. That's not story writing. So even though he thought up until now, this whole thing was to make the free throw shot, it's actually to do the same thing and reaffirm his decision to chase after his wife and have the family that he currently does. And all of this is proven to be what the actual resolution to the conflict was because this starts to happen. It all resets.
It is you.
Hi. Well, I can explain.
Explain what? How even in the silhouette, your shoes look too big like a clown's? You look like Peter Pan's shadow trying to break in a new pair of Doc Martens. If I was Matthew Perry, the most embarrassing part of being in this movie would be wearing those gigantic basketball shorts. Once they showed me that costume, I'd be like, hey, actually, what if my character just died permanently on that bridge accident earlier? So, Scarlett and Mike kiss and, you know, presumably rekindle their romance. He moves on with a newfound appreciation for the life that he does have and all of the amazing blessings, which like just serves to highlight how he was not really appreciating his kids at the beginning of this. Like, you could have done the basketball thing, but then you wouldn't have been there for your daughter. One of them, you wanted both, then you could have just had both. It makes it seem like an artificial conflict to me. And sure enough, in the 80s, he could have shot the fucking basketball and then chased after his pregnant girlfriend. Maybe if it was like, my dad is sending me off to a private school, blah, 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 because I'm gonna be an unmarried mom. And so he thought he was gonna lose her forever, and he had to make this grand sweeping statement to like prove to the dad he was gonna be there. Then we're talking like real stakes to me, but never, not in this movie. Also, they show us the end on a title card when there's actually a lot of loose ends to wrap up. Do the son and daughter ever wonder what happened to Mike once he becomes Mark again? And more importantly, what about Ned's relationship with the principal?
The force is strong in this one.
So I guess I'll be seeing you at work. boss.
Coach O'Donnell, we are very happy to have you aboard.
Jane said, I don't know what happened to that teenage boy who used to live here that you claimed was your son, but now that he's mysteriously disappeared, I can go ahead and enter a relationship with you. And then I'll hire your equally suspicious roommate to hang out in the boys' locker room. Is this whole town being mind controlled by an evil clown in the sewers? See, this is why you need to vote Democrat in all of your local elections. And Pennywise written in on the ballot. And then, just like 13 on Going on 30, the end credits roll showing everyone's class photos. They also did this in Never Been Kissed. I hate this movie for all that it steals, but hey, that's all we wrote for it. That's all they wrote for it. That's all the shitty script they out for this. What did you think of 17 again, both when it came out and reviewing the problematic and kind of generic storyline and all these years later? Let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know what other movies I should break down in the next episodes of Clip Breakdown. Also, I've got merch available, and give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see even more 2007 movies like this. But most importantly, mama, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to click that subscribe button right over here. That way you never miss new videos from me. I upload 2 new ones every week, so turn on notifications and you'll always be the first to know when my age is rapidly increasing or decreasing. It's increasing, always. I have gray hair in my nose. And don't forget to join my Patreon if you want to access exclusive bonus content and virtual watch parties. Tomorrow, we'll be watching the movie I Know Who Killed Me with Lindsay Lohan. That should be great. You guys are all the greatest. Thank you so much for getting 17 again with me today. I will see you next time.